Like, what has the reaction been since you made this announcement that this would be your last run? What reaction have you heard?
Well, it's been incredible and embarrassing in some ways, but people have been just unbelievable in terms of reaching out or various shows that have been done, etc. So, I'm humbled by it, and I really appreciate it. It really has been. I must say that I have two pugs at home, Trixie and Madison. They are so excited that I'll be able to spend a little more time with them. My wife is kind of on the fence right now, so that'll be worked out, though.
Well, I mean,
but we're really looking forward to it, actually. And the pandemic was kind of the rehearsal for retirement, because I love to read. I read a lot of. I probably read 6 newspapers a day. I became a TV binger. Work out and all that kind of stuff, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to it.
I have to hear, what did Marv Albert binge? What were your shows during the pandemic?
There were so many. Let's see. Better Call Saul, which I had to catch up with. Mm-hmm. Justified. Fauda, which is an Israeli show. Mm-hmm. I started to watch British and French shows, of course, with subtitles like The Bureau, just off the top of my head. Call My Agent, which I think you'd enjoy. And let's see, Mrs. America, One Night in Miami. The most recent one is Godfather of Harlem with Forrest Tucker. That's tremendous. And Giancarlo Esposito. So that's a few. There's so many that I really enjoy. I never had Ted Lasso, another one. I just, never had the chance to do that in the past. So that was great. And we'll do a lot of traveling, too. We have a place in Florida, so we'll spend time there. But I'm sure when the NBA season rolls around again, early November, late October, I'll feel something's missing, because I love the preparation, like being around everybody, love talking to the coaches, as we do before each game, and, become friendly with a number of them over the years. So I will miss that, and I'll be watching not only the NBA. I love watching NFL and NHL, et cetera, right down. So I'm a typical sports fan.
Well, listen, let's talk about this series that you're doing and a few other things, and I'll share a few thoughts on that at the end. But to hear you, I binge watch nothing, by the way, Marv, so it should be pointed out. I literally have not seen any of the shows.
I mean, same thing. Yeah, I was the same way.
I've heard of some of the shows you mentioned, but I've not seen any of them. So
say that again.
Yeah, I've heard of some of the shows you mentioned, but I've never seen one.
You're busy. You're up early. It's tough. You can only do so much. But if you have the time, it's really enjoyable. You even have the time to read, books, which was tough in recent years because you're always traveling and always preparing. So it gives me an opportunity to do all that too.
I love it. And when you say
55 years of NBA broadcasting, I felt was enough.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, when you say it's been tough for recent years, you mean 55 years. You mean going back to the 60s.
Exactly.
You've been a little busy. Okay, let's talk about this, which will prove to be your last series, and Trae Young. And look, I said that on the show earlier here today, Marv, I really hope he's okay. Like, it would be such a terrible, in a postseason that has been defined as much for the superstars that haven't been able to play, like the Kyrie Irving thing and the James Harden thing and Anthony Davis, for a fluke, freaky thing like that to wind up going a long way towards deciding this. I would hate to see that happen. Yeah,
I think most people, except for the Milwaukee Bucks, would feel the same way, although I'm sure the Bucks, deep down would like to, if they do win the series, it would be with Trae. They prefer having played the best of the Atlanta Hawks. But Trae has been spectacular. I mean, it just from the series in New York where he took that bow and was, really hearing from the Garden crowd. And right on, through what he's done in the Atlanta series, did not have a good game 2, but was spectacular with the 48 points in game 1. And last night looked terrific. The Hawks have really been the Cinderella story of the season. They are, they have so many outstanding players, and John Collins, guys we really didn't pay that much attention to in the past. Kevin Huerter and Bogdanovich. Gallinari's having a terrific playoff. They're going to be a good team in the future. I think they can keep most of this team together also.
Yeah, they have surprised a lot of people, myself 100% included, but it really feels like he is the engine that makes all of it go. And I just wonder, you've seen so many great players, and to see a superstar like this emerging right before our eyes, what's been your perspective on Trae Young? And as you look at some of the young, great players in the NBA, he really fits nicely into that group of players who are emerging. It feels like a sort of a time of transition with a bunch of young, great stars.
Yeah, he seems. I don't know him, but I understand he's a really nice kid. He handles himself very well in interviews. He's very mature for a 22-year-old. I know he's listed at 6'1". He's probably closer to 6 foot, but or maybe even 5'11". But the antics too are mild and kind of likable. I'm sure opposing teams may not like the shimmy. I'm working with Reggie Miller, who, of course, loves everything that Trae does. Just loves it, because Reggie liked being the villain. And Trae, in some cities, is going to be the villain with some of the moves that he makes. But I find him so colorful, and he's able to find space. It's amazing how you'll see him, accelerate and have a free lane as they're moving the ball around, and somehow find space, be it on a step back 3 or on the drive. He's a very creative player, and he's one of the more exciting young players right now in the NBA.
100%, yeah.
Not take anything from the Bucks away from the Bucks, because what we saw last night. First of all, Giannis has been playing terrific. I mean, he's certainly been hearing it from visiting crowds regarding the 10-second count on the free throws, but he's been sensational. And Chris Middleton, too, has been, with the breakout game last night, because his shooting was a little off, but he's a terrific player, too. And Brook Lopez has come on very, very big in this playoff series at both ends of the court.
Absolutely, yeah. And so it's been fun to watch. And look, we are all I'm watching it with one ear. I'm listening to the game, and the other I'm trying to listen to your calls for, hopefully not the absolute final time, but we'll wind up seeing it, and we'll see where it goes. Again, Marv and Reggie and the crew have the final games here of Milwaukee and Atlanta in the Eastern Conference. While I just have you for a minute, because I have to do it, and the audience is going to want to hear it, there are so many memories that we have of you that I wanted to ask yours for the audience. So you and I talked on my podcast about your appearances on David Letterman, which were many and varied. Do you have one moment that stands out for you among them that stands out the most? Like if I said, what's your favorite memory of being on the David Letterman show, which you have to have been on 100 times, what would it be?
Yeah. Well, I would say we did so many bits on the show, but I would say my favorite moment was when we went to Citi Field for a Met game, and there was a writer's strike going on, and Dave wasn't doing anything at the time. So I said, "You're doing nothing these days. How about doing the interview on?" I was doing the baseball pregame show for NBC at the time. We'll pick a player out, and you can do an interview. So he selected pitcher David Cone, who's has a great sense of humor, and it was like the dopiest interview I've ever heard in sports, but was sensational because it was hysterical, and Cone went along with it, and I'm sure that people were very surprised when they see Letterman doing a baseball interview on a pregame show. That really was something that stands out to me. There were so many, wacky moments with Chris Elliott, doing impersonations and all that kind of stuff. But that was a fun time. David was doing his show in a studio right across from us at Channel 4 in New York, and we were doing a 6 and 11. So it was great just seeing all the people who were on the show. We were kind of sharing the makeup room, and it was Cher would be there, Madonna would be there. It's crazy, and we're getting makeup for the 6 o'clock sports. So.
I'd give anything.
It was a great time.
I'd give anything to have been able to see Marv Albert and Madonna in the makeup room at the same time, getting ready to go
we
on.
were so close, yeah.
Next one. I grew up with you as the voice of the Knicks, of course, and I just wonder, you did their games for so long through their most legendary teams in the 70s and others. Do you have one memory? If I asked you your one greatest memory of broadcasting in Madison Square Garden, could you pick one?
Sure. Well, this would go back to older generation. It would be the 1970 championship Knicks, a terrific team with Bradley and DeBusschere and Reed and Clyde Frazier and Dick Barnett. And Red Holzman was the coach. When it came to Game 7 against the Lakers in the finals of 1970, and Willis Reed was hurt in Game 5, did not play in Game 6. In L.A., the thought was he would not play in Game 7. He had an injured calf. And I can recall doing the pregame interview. I was doing radio at the time. And he said, I saw him get a shot, and he said, I'm going to play. And usually when an athlete says that, you figure he's not going to play because you don't want to give anything away to the visiting team. But the Lakers were on the court warming up. The Knicks were on the court warming up. There's no Willis, and people thought no chance that he's going to play. And then all of a sudden, from right under our broadcast booth, they're basically finishing up the warm-ups. Willis Reed walks out toward the court. The crowd, that was the loudest crowd I ever heard at Madison Square Garden. The decibel level was sky high, and he kind of limps out to the court. The Lakers, I remember Will Chamberlain, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor was with them at the time. They just stopped, and their mouths were wide open because they did not think Willis was going to play, and took a couple of warm-up shots. The crowd is roaring as he hits them, and then the game starts. He hits a jumper from about 15 feet out, a side jump, then hits another one. Did not score at all the rest of the way, but his inspiration to the other guys was at such a level that they went on and just handily beat the Lakers for the Knicks, first championship, 70. So that to me, there have been so many other highlights at the Garden, usually revolving around Michael Jordan or LeBron or Kobe, but still, 1970 was the big one for me.
And you saying the words "Here comes Willis" is still on like every highlight reel of old NBA memories that we get. Look, I could do this forever. I'm going to run out of time. I just want to say personally that I really, 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 really hope this week is not the last time that I hear you on the air, and I hope that we're able to continue this conversation. And I just want to thank you as one who grew up with you, that for the rest of my life, basketball will sound like your voice, and that was very important to me and to our family. So thank you for everything.
Mike, that's so nice. I really, extremely kind. I appreciate that. And anytime, give a call.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.